The International Monetary Fund says that Sri Lanka needs to address the losses incurred by the Ceylon Electricity Board. During a Q&A session following a lecture in Colombo last evening, the IMF's resident representative in Sri Lanka, Dr. Koshi Mathai, said that failure to do so would result in Sri Lanka failing to reach its economic potential.
Differential between the average selling price for CEB and the generation cost would be more than 10 rupees. A loss of more than 10 rupees on every unit generated. These are not just numbers on a page that we worry, 2% of GDP, we have to knock that down. That 2% of GDP is a loss that the Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank have to finance, and therefore have less money to lend to the rest of the economy. And therefore interest rates are higher, and therefore investment is lower, and therefore growth is lower, and therefore jobs are less plentiful than they would be. And to us, for the people's benefit, not for the benefit of any accountants who like to see a nice balance sheet or income statement for these enterprises, but for the benefit of the whole country, getting the losses down is a critical thing. Taking away the entire burden and letting there be non-cost recovering prices for everybody is a non-starter. It's going to be ultimately it's going to be something that will damage the economy and keep it from reaching its potential.
Meanwhile, trade union leaders held a discussion at the head office of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna yesterday regarding an island-wide strike action against the revised electricity tariffs to be staged on the 21st of this month.
විදුලි ගාස්තුව වැඩි කිරීමේ තීන්දුව මේ මුළු රටටම විශාල
The entire country felt the burden and is feeling the burden of the increase in electricity tariffs, and now a massive protest campaign is building up. The trade unions have taken the fore in this. The representatives of the trade unions clarified to us as to how they are going to take this struggle forward. As the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, we are of a clear stance that we will support this struggle.
ඒ අනුව අපි ඉතා පැහැදිලි තැනක ඉන්නවා ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ හැටියට මේ සටනට සහයෝගය දෙන්න.
අපි මහජන ව්‍යාපාරයක් ගොඩනගමින්
We are building up a public campaign and are calling on the government to reverse the decision to increase the electricity tariffs before the 20th of May. We are not asking for relief. We are asking that they reverse the decision to increase electricity tariffs.
විදුලි බිල වැඩි කරන්න ගත්තු පියවර අහුසි කරන්න කියලායි.
This has affected each and every manufacturer. They are wondering who they are going to sell their products to and for what price. This is because people do not have a sufficient wage to buy the manufacturer's products. Speaking at a public rally held in Minuangoda, Venerable Battaramulle Sila Thera, the leader of the Janasatha Peramuna, expressed these views. I said how they shouted at the May Day rally on May Day that the electricity tariffs would be reduced. But have the electricity tariffs been reduced as yet? Who receives the blow to the stomach through this? The country is being governed as per the want of the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance. A minister's salary is 65,000 rupees. Some of their electricity bills are between 35 and 40,000 rupees. But the innocent people, the labourers, make between 15 and 20,000 rupees. How is this man to pay the electricity bill when the tariffs increase?
මේ දේශපාලඥයෝ රට කාලා දැන් කන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. තව තියෙන්නේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ලේ ටික විතරයි බොන්න තියෙන්නේ.
News means freedom.
You're watching News First. It's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Speaking in Parliament today, Chief Government Whip Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that no arrests have been made regarding the treasure excavation incident that took place last year in Villachia.
No arrests have been made so far regarding the incident. The interrogations are yet to be completed. The question has been answered. 3 questions were asked and 3 answers were given.
මේක ඉවර වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේක ජනමාධ්‍යයට තමයි හොඳ අදහස ටෙලිවිෂන් රූපවාහිනියට
පරීක්ෂණය තාම ඉවර නැතිලු.
On the 1st of May 2012, News First reported on a tense situation that arose between members of the police special task force and villagers from Vilachia, Anuradhapura. This tense situation arose when the respective team of officers of the police STF had gone to investigate a location which is said to be a place where items of historical value have been hidden. Information to this effect had been obtained by private intelligence personnel. Locals from Doramadalava and Sivalapitiya, speaking to News First, said that they observed the manner in which a certain group was engaged in excavations from the previous day on the banks of the Sivalapitiya tank. However, two groups of police special task force officers were cornered by the locals, who charged them with excavating for treasure.
Wizana Nafik sentenced to death. Minister Dilan Pereira takes up the foreign employment promotion and welfare portfolio. A no-confidence motion by the UNP against Minister Dilan Pereira over the death of Wizana Nafik is defeated. Chief Justice Dr. Shivani Bandaranayake is impeached. No motions against the government from the UNP. Private enterprises are taken over by the government. No motions against the government from the UNP. Electricity tariff hike. No motions against the government from the UNP. The UNP is silent in the face of burning public issues.
Up next is a look at Action TV.
The services of 5 employees of NARA, including the financial head of the National Aquatic Resource Research and Development Agency, or NARA, have been suspended effective today. According to the written notification submitted by the Director General of NARA to the agency's internal auditor, this decision was based on the report of a preliminary investigation. The basis for this preliminary investigation into the construction of this boat as a special project of the chairman of NARA between 2010 and 2011 and the NARA contract for providing consultancy services for the Colombo Port expansion project was laid in February this year. The report of this investigation was submitted at the meeting of the Board of Directors of NARA on Monday. The financial head of NARA, who has been suspended effective today, was sent on compulsory leave in February parallel to this preliminary investigation. The other 4 individuals who were suspended effective today are the person who headed the NARA operation in the contract to provide consultancy services for the Colombo Port expansion project, an accountant, an assistant accountant and an accounts clerk. The assistant accountant was sent on compulsory leave on the 4th of March. This assistant accountant was sent on compulsory leave parallel to a preliminary investigation into an incident where he is alleged to have reprimanded a higher-up at the agency. Among the final official duties executed by this assistant accountant was the rejection of payment for a voucher submitted to him along with a bill for which the approval of payment would have been in violation of state financial regulations and the concept of the Mahinda Chintanaya.
Incessant rains have begun to affect several areas once again. However, relief is yet to be provided for damages caused during the last bout of inclement weather. Our provincial correspondent in Hambantota, Granville Ratnaika, filed this report on an agrarian community that has been driven to despair as they have no access to water to cultivate their lands.
I am standing at the location where a section of the bund of the Galahitiya Vava reservoir in Pahala Andhra Vava Mattala broke away. About 100 agrarian families have been left to despair as they cannot cultivate as a result of the bund breaking away during the last harvest season. This is the bund of the Galahitiya reservoir which broke away due to the heavy rains that were experienced in November last year. This reservoir was constructed in 1998 with the participation of the then Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. However, the authorities are yet to turn their attention towards the reconstruction of the broken reservoir bund. We have informed all the relevant officials, including the district secretary, but no one has come to even look at this reservoir yet. Even our homes were damaged, but we are yet to receive a solution to this. What we have to say is that regardless of whether our homes are rebuilt or not, please repair the reservoir so we have a livelihood. They built a road for the airport and they took some of our paddy fields for this. They took dry lands and about 18 acres of paddy land from 18 farmers. This was about 4 seasons ago. But we are yet to receive compensation for even these paddy fields. The road has been constructed, the airport has been opened and development has been completed. But the farmers are yet to receive any relief. The bund at the reservoir is broken and we cannot even cultivate the farmland that we have. Not a single authority has turned their attention towards this. Over 100 families rely on the water provided by the Galahitia reservoir for their livelihoods.
May Day or Labour Day is a day that 127 years ago was splattered with the hot red blood of activists of the struggle to win labour rights. Now, consider the modern day multicoloured processions that parade the streets. Are these a representation of workers raising a voice for their rights? Or is it a representation of the higher classes that bring the masses to the streets to demonstrate their power? This special segment takes a look back at this year's May Day, removing the colours and the banners of the different parties and looking at the real people for whom this day was consecrated in blood over a century ago.
Last week on the 1st of May, the streets of Colombo were filled with people dressed in colour. These people from all 4 corners of the country were drawn to Colombo to celebrate International Labour Day. However, did these people represent the true voice of the worker, the people who bear the burden of bringing forth a brighter tomorrow? Or were these people simply consumers of the trumpetings of victory of various factions? Last night, News First visited PETA in Colombo in search of true workers in order to determine the truth of the modern Labour Day. These people, sleeping on pieces of paper spread out on the cold cement floor, are a group of labourers, tired out by their day's work. These workers, if they think that this year's major rallies represented them, the people for whom the day was consecrated.
අපි එනෙමිනේ කතා කරන්න දාන්නේ අපි අඬ ගන්නවා කතා කරන්න දාන්නේ ඡන්ද ඉල්ලන කට්ටියයි අර ඡන්දෙට එන්න ඉන්න කට්ටියයි
හැමෝම එක පෙළපාලිද නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ
නෑ නෑ එක එක ඡන්දකාර විදියට තමයි යන්නේ ඡන්ද ඉල්ලන්නේ කොයි පැත්තෙන්ද කවුද වැඩියෙන් දෙන්නේ ඒක තමයි බලන්නේ
ඔයගොල්ලෝ සල්ලි වලට යන්නේ ඒක නේ
ඒකනේ අපි යවෙන්න ඕන නම් අපිට ඕනේ මොනවද බඩු මිල අඩු කරන්න
අපි 100ක් අම්ම කරන්න කොච්චර මාන්සි වෙන්න ඕනද මිටි 100ක් ගන්න ඕනේ මේ කරට මිටි 100ක් ගන්න ඕනේ මේ කරට පාන් රාතලා කන්න මිටි 100ක් ගන්න ඕනේ මේ කරට පාන් රාතලා කන්න.
Will the voices of true workers who need to lift 100 sacks of rice to earn enough to buy a loaf of bread be represented at the 128th Labour Day at least? Is politics in this country bankrupt to level that labourers have been hired to participate in May Day rallies?